Welcome to Singapore Property Talk Law. Today, we're going to dive into some really interesting thoughts from Warren Buffett.
Yeah, these are from the Berkshire Hathaway 2025 annual meeting. We've got about 10 key quotes that, well, they really give you a snapshot of his thinking.
Exactly. We've boiled it down, aiming to pull out the most valuable bits for you without, overwhelming anyone. Business, markets, life, it's all in there.
So let's jump right in. Where should we start?
Okay, first one. This one really grabbed me. Apple CEO Tim Cook made more money for Berkshire Hathaway than I ever did.
Wow, yeah. Coming
Yeah.
from Buffett, that's quite something, isn't it?
It really is. You think of his track record.
Right, but it shows maybe an acknowledgement of how value is created out. Technology, leadership like Cook's.
Yeah, and the sheer scale of Apple's impact on Berkshire's returns. It's not just a small nod, it sounds like genuine recognition.
It highlights his adaptability, maybe. Appreciating success, even if it's a bit outside his, let's say, classic value investing mold.
Good point. Okay, shifting gears a bit to global trade. He said, trade should not be a weapon.
Ah, yes. Pretty direct criticism of tariffs and that kind of protectionism.
Seems like it. He's always been quite vocal about open trade, hasn't he?
Absolutely. His view is, let countries do what they're best at, trade freely. It makes the whole world richer, basically.
So things like tariffs just mess that up. Introduce friction.
That seems to be his perspective. Disrupts efficiency, raises costs, maybe even leads to retaliation. He sees it as bad for everyone in the long run.
It offers, well, a different way to look at some current events, definitely. Then there's this very personal one. The luckiest day of my life was being born in the U.S.
That's such a strong statement of belief. American exceptionalism right there.
Yeah, and he's seen so much history unfold from that perspective.
Yeah.
Recessions, wars, tech booms.
Exactly. And despite any current issues or criticisms he might have, like, say, on fiscal policy, which we'll get to, that underlying belief in the U.S. system and its opportunities seems, well, unshakable for him. He even said he'd want to be born there today.
Makes you think about what specific elements he sees as so fundamentally strong.
Definitely. Now, about how Berkshire operates, this quote is revealing. We're running a business which is very, very, very opportunistic.
And he mentioned almost pulling the trigger on a huge, like, $10 billion investment recently.
Yeah, and having the capacity for even $100 billion moves, it just highlights the sheer scale they operate on.
So it's about patience and then acting decisively when the moment is right.
Precisely. It's not about constant activity. It's about recognizing those less frequent, really compelling opportunities and having the capital ready to deploy. Big time.
A lesson in patience for all investors, perhaps. Which kind of leads into the next one about market swings.
Ah, the volatility point.
Yeah, he said, U.S. stock market volatility in the last 30, 45 days is really nothing.
Well, compared to his history, maybe it isn't. He's seen Berkshire's own stock cut in half, multiple times.
Right, so what feels like a massive downturn, some of us.
It's just, market noise in the grand scheme of his decades-long experience. He's saying, essentially, don't panic over short-term fluctuations. It's not a huge move in his book.
Perspective is everything, though.
Totally. Long-term perspective.
Okay, let's move to some more general life wisdom. He said, a happy person lives longer. Work at something you enjoy.
Simple advice, but profound, isn't it?
Yeah.
He mentioned it when talking about his successor, Greg Abel, too.
Right, so finding work you're passionate about isn't just for, like, career satisfaction.
He seems to connect it directly to well-being, even longevity, and suggesting enjoyment is key for leadership, too. Passion matters.
It makes sense. And sticking with the theme of work, he cautioned about who you work with. If you find wonderful people to work with, implying you should prioritize that.
Yeah, the idea being that your colleagues' habits, their ethics, their whole approach, it rubs off on you.
So choose your work environment carefully, maybe even over the initial paycheck.
That seems to be the message. Surround yourself with people you admire, people who make you better. It's more important long-term.
Okay, now, for anyone interested in property, his take was interesting. Real estate, not the most interesting thing.
Yeah. Bit blunt, perhaps. But he qualified it right, compared to the opportunities he sees in the U.S. securities market.
True. He mentioned the complexities dealing with single owners, long negotiations, population trends affecting value.
Exactly. For managing the kind of capital Berkshire has, the stock market offers scale, liquidity, maybe just a better fit for their approach compared to lots of individual property deals.
Yeah.
Especially at his age, he doesn't want long, drawn-out negotiations.
Makes sense from that vantage point. Okay, back to broader economics. This one sounded a bit alarming. Fiscal policy scares me.
That's a significant concern. He's worried about governments essentially weakening their own currencies through spending and debt.
The politics of money, basically.
Pretty much. The temptation for governments to, inflate their way out of problems, potentially devaluing the currency for everyone. And he doesn't really see an easy fix or a great system to stop it.
A sobering thought from someone who's watched economies for so long.
Definitely.
And the final quote we pulled out was, "We are not in the business of trying to solve unsolvable problems."
Right. This speaks to Berkshire's focus. They stick to areas where they have a real edge.
Like their capital or their know-how in specific sectors like energy.
Exactly. Generation, transmission areas they understand deeply. His analogy about wartime production was interesting, too.
Yeah.
Suggesting that really massive, complex issues like maybe energy policy on a national scale often need that combination of private sector power and government direction. Berkshire focuses where its specific strengths can make a difference.
Strategic focus. Makes sense. Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big picture here for you listening?
Well, these quotes, they really offer a lot to chew on, don't they? From leadership and trade
to market perspective, finding fulfilling work, even understanding those big economic forces.
Right. Buffett's wisdom. Even in these snippets, it gives you frameworks, maybe, ways to think about your own career, your investments, how you see the world.
Hopefully this quick dive gave you a few of those aha moments we talked about. Maybe think about which insight really clicked for you.
Yeah, how might you apply some of this long-term thinking or focus in your own life? It's definitely good food for thought.
Absolutely. This was just scratching the surface, of course, but hopefully a useful exploration of some key ideas from one of the greats.